A lot of y'all made the drive here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have some pictures somebody's bringing up in a minute, so I'll just... I think all of you have a little package that we dropped at the entrance there. They said they were going to pass it out to everybody. So I just want to thank all of you for inviting us here. Commissioner Parker invited us, and we just want to say thank you very much, the kids and the families. We're here regarding NYSA. We're the Emerald Coast Hurricanes. We're a travel ball organization, about a year old, I believe. We have two teams, a 10U, 11U team. We have been trying to find a place to practice, just practice, for both teams. We've been in discussions with NYSA since approximately about a year. June 5th it started. Initial request NYSA at a board meeting for field use. I'm a baseball dad. My son plays on the 11U team. I'm not associated with, I just jumped into this program to help these guys out to get a field to practice in. So I attended a few board meetings, extremely hostile towards me as a citizen. Simply asked them how we could use, we're speaking about the Holly baseball field off of 87. The condition of that field is, it's a dumping field. That's exactly what it is. It hasn't been touched. I've talked to people that have late 40s, early 50-year-old men that I meet there for softball. They practice softball there on occasion, and they grew up here, and they tell me all the time this field has not been touched at all. It's a dump. There's dump piles all over the place. We went to the NYSA requesting permission to use it during the winter for fall ball. We needed the light, access to the lights. That's the only reason we went to them. It was one thing after another. They wouldn't allow us to use it, just plain out would not allow us to use it. Their comment to me as a parent when I went to my first meeting was, if you want to play baseball, you can come to NYSA and play. I don't think that's the appropriate answer for a management company that's managing county property. Fast forward, recently, went to one meeting. Commissioner Peach helped us out quite a bit. We had a meeting when we just couldn't get anywhere else with NYSA. We went to Commissioner Peach. We sat down with them, and we discussed what was going on in the past year. We agreed that three things would be done. Number one, it was you could not schedule anything, schedule a field or rent a field online, so you don't know what's available. They have 6 to 8 fields at the complex, plus the Holly field off of 87. So we didn't know how to rent it, where to go. We couldn't get any answers. So we agreed that there'd be a availability to schedule online to see what's available, improve the field, and sign a contract. We just got a contract 2 days ago. I think they finalized it. NYSA did. We were sent that contract. They're requesting that we pay $20 per hour. We practice 3 days a week, 2 hours per night. $20 per hour to use the Holly ball field. They don't pay for lighting. We don't need lighting. We don't pay for water. There's a hose out there. There's no maintenance being done to that field, zero. We looked at the contract. We came upon your agreement with NYSA, the county agreement, and it specifically states in there that they can charge us for water, or any organization, water, electric, and maintenance fees. Water we don't use, electric we don't use, and maintenance, there hasn't been any, except for what we've done to that field. Just under $1,000 we put into that field. So what we'd like to do is the contract, $20 an hour, I don't think it's reasonable. That's $120 a week that we have to ask the parents to come up with. These are all Navarre residents. They all live in that area. And with the pictures, you could see the difference between the NYSA fields that are in the complex, how well they're cared for, manicured, the condition of them, and how well the Holly ball field has been taken care of. These pictures were taken 3 days ago, so they're very current. So all we're asking is this contract that they put together, we don't mind signing it, but the price is just unreasonable. We cannot, as any travel ball club, we cannot afford that kind of price to practice at. We play for tournaments, we have a monthly fee that all that money, we're nonprofit, all that money goes straight to the tournaments every month for the kids to play. We try to play 2, maybe sometimes 3 tournaments a month locally in the Pace, Gulf Breeze area. Sometimes we travel out of state, very rarely. We scrimmaged, the 10U and 11U teams scrimmaged last Monday at the Holly Field, and we had NYSA, the president and the administrator, I believe, came out and took pictures of the kids. The parents were absolutely upset about that. It was somewhat creepy. We didn't appreciate that, but that's the type of harassment that we've been getting. It's just, so what they did come out, they did follow up on Commissioner Peach's request to put a schedule together. 2 days ago, out of the blue, now they have a travel program that just came out. Not only do they have a travel program, which is fine, they put a schedule together for the usage of the fields. The Holly Field, they have on their website, we can only use it Monday through Friday from 5:30 to 10. 5:30 to 8, I believe, at night. Why we can't use it during the day? Monday, we practice at 2:30. The kids are out of school. We don't understand why we only have that. That field is only available to anybody from 5:30 to 8. Regarding the other 8 fields on the NYSA complex, they did do what Commissioner Peach told them to do. They put a schedule together. The schedule for their travel ball team is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 5:30 to 8. And right underneath that, it says if there's inclement weather or if they need to go in on the opposite days to pitch or practice base running or do anything on those fields, they have priority. So they put a schedule together to schedule us out of that property for 7 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they're scheduled to be on it. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, it says that they have the right to use that field. If it's rain, if they've had a rain delay, or if they want additional training, practice. So nobody can use that field. On the contract, they asked, along with the fee, they requested that they say payment for the use period is non-refundable if weather does not allow use for the designated period. We live in Florida. We don't know when it's going to rain. So if we pay a month in advance for a field, whether it's 87 or the complex fields, we don't know when it's going to rain. I mean, we're coming into summer. This is the rainiest season. So for us to lose all our money, if we get rained out every day of practice that month, we lose all that money. So we're just asking for a reasonable fee to use that Holly Field and for the improvements to be made. It's a dirt lot, and it's, it's somewhat unsafe for the kids. It's safe, but it's somewhat unsafe. So if we can get your help on that, we would deeply appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I asked Paul Villanova, he's the president of NYSA, to come up because I knew this was going to come up. I'll give a quick breakdown. I mean, they detail the history. We've been meeting since these folks called me, and right before February, I think it was, there was talk of NYSA giving up the field. They voted not to give up the field to the Emerald Coast Hurricanes, so it's been a very dynamic process. I've been out there several times. The last meeting I had, with both groups and Mr. Villanova out there was that I was going to bring Tammy and Doyle down and see what we could do to help revamp the field, and NYSA was going to be there to tell us, and we direct them what we wanted done with the field in order to get that field up to a better quality. That meeting never happened yet because of recent world events. So that's on me to get that meeting scheduled. Tammy and Doyle are going to work with me to get that. In that same meeting, Mr. Villanova asked about a use agreement he submitted. It's been reviewed by Roy and Dan. It's commensurate with what para and our other sports organizations charge. I believe it's the same amount that para charges private clubs to utilize their facilities. So Roy approved that document, said it's good, because there's insurance requirements and everything we put on the sports organizations to have. So the fees are not solely from NYSA. We compared them to everywhere else in Santa Rosa County. So I'm good with the usage agreement because it's same for all of them. We do need to do some work on that field, and I've talked with Tammy, and we're going to live up to our end. NYSA is going to live up to their end. Up to this point, they didn't have a lawn tractor. I bought them a lawn tractor, as some of you have done for your sports organizations. We just delivered that a couple of months ago. And there's work that needs to be done, but Mr. Villanova took over as president of NYSA last fall? October. So I've told them we need to make those fields available in alignment with the agreement that was signed a year ago. And that's kind of where I left it back in the end of February, early March. I'll let Mr. Villanova speak to some of the other issues he may want to bring up or rebut.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to address the board, and I'll try to make it brief. NYSA is obviously a passion to me. I've been there on the board for about 5 or 6 years, the president since last October. My purpose here is to address the issues raised by the Emerald Coast Hurricanes. Mr. McDonald, Mr. Steve Adams is I don't know his exact role. I think he's either the president or the commissioner of the Emerald Coast Hurricanes. He's also a board member at the NYSA. He sits on our board. So this actually started, as was alluded, last May. They asked us for a usage agreement, and Mr. Adams hired an attorney to investigate the NYSA. The NYSA incurred legal fees that we wouldn't have otherwise avoided had he asked us for the information he was looking for. And my belief is that he was looking for an opportunity to explore the pursuit of his own mission, which is the Emerald Coast Hurricanes. I believe as a board member, you should put the interests of your others before your own. His most recent submission to your board says that his organization represents travel baseball in Navarre. This is a clear conflict in my mind because our organization, the NYSA, represents youth baseball, which is rec baseball, rec select baseball, and travel baseball, along with over a dozen other sports in Navarre. The NYSA, which is the organization that Mr. Adams agreed to serve in his role on our board of directors, has 26 rec baseball teams, 5 rec select travel baseball teams, and we just launched a newly formed elite travel program, which we think is going to have 4 to 8 teams. Mr. Adams, as an NYSA board member, was aware of the efforts to work towards a usage agreement being approved by the county. He said in his submission that he'd been working since last June. He actually received a proposal from us for a proposed agreement last June or last summer, and he rejected it as being too restrictive. He then told me he was going to wait until there was a change in the president of our organization because our prior president was set to step down in October. So I became the president in October. They continued to use the Holly Ball Field. And also the Holly Ball Field, if you go to their Facebook page, they list the Holly Ball Field, Bob Tolbert Road, as their business address for the Emerald Coast Hurricanes. So I think that that's a violation of the agreement that we have in place. On May 5th, Santa Rosa County issued a statement regarding sports and COVID-19. It says that all facilities within our organization's agreement, NYSA's agreement with the county, are responsibility of the Management Association, NYSA, regarding COVID-19. Yet the Emerald Coast Hurricanes, as Mr. McDonald alluded to, had a scrimmage game, whatever you want to call it. They were full uniform this past Monday night without an agreement for usage and without letting us know that they were doing that. So there was no way for us to monitor whether they were in cooperation with the COVID-19 rules or not. And regarding his comment that it was creepy for us to show up, we've got a list of things that we're trying to improve out at that field. Mr. Dixon, who was also a former president of the NYSA, called me to go out there and do a checklist of the things that we agreed with Mr. Peach to do. It happened to be Monday night. We went out there, saw the game, and yes, I took pictures not of kids. I took pictures of the field. I took pictures of the parents in case there was ever a question about the social distancing rules, because there were parents sitting close to each other in the stands. There was nothing creepy about it. It's just what we decided to do. So one other comment that was made in the submission that I just wanted to address was that we have, it's come up several times in our board meetings, that we have this reserve fund of, Mr. McDonald says $600,000. Just my statement on that is that these funds that we have are mostly the result of inherited and gifted properties which were sold and placed as savings accounts for NYSA. Years ago, NYSA was operating basically sport to sport, season to season in the red. Well, when we received those funds as a result of sales, we've managed those appropriately. You know, those stating that the NYSA is mismanaging these funds are short-sighted and misinformed. It's precisely the responsible management of these funds that's allowed us to process full refunds of fees associated with spring sports as a result of COVID-19. We are in an unprecedented time right now, and having these reserves is what makes us responsible and dependable as a partner with the county as it relates to the properties in the NYSA agreement. And I'm almost done, I promise. We have, you know, they mentioned they have 2 teams. Again, I mentioned we have 26 baseball teams alone. We have 1,300 member families. We're already running into challenges, as you all know, of space and field availability across all sports. As a board, we need to consider the needs of all sports, not just travel baseball. The NYSA would appreciate, you know, your board's cooperation in putting an end to these, we believe, antics by Mr. McDonald and Mr. Adams. As Mr. Peach alluded, yes, we came to an agreement. It was approved by the county on May 5th, not last 2 days ago, about a week and a half ago. We have agreed to do everything in that agreement that we came to. In terms of the usage agreement, I went out personally to Para, to Tiger Point, to Gulf Breeze to find out how much they were charging per hour, and that's where we came up with the $20 per hour charge for maintenance. Also, we've asked them several times for proof of insurance coverage. I haven't received that. We've asked for code of conduct, background checks for all the folks and their coaches. Haven't received that. So the NYSA has been a great partner over the years as it relates to the properties. If the board allows groups like this to come in and attempt to take over properties already under agreement and management, I believe that you'll be setting a precedent that could further interrupt other sports organizations. What's to stop someone from coming and wanting to use our football field, our gymnasium, or our soccer complex? The NYSA operates the property. There is a usage agreement in place as of last week, and I firmly believe if Mr. Adams doesn't like that agreement, he can take the organization he chose to start while on the board at the NYSA and go somewhere else. I think he wants everything for his own intention, which is the Emerald Coast Hurricanes, even at the expense of others. He's willing to attempt to destroy a long-time relationship between the NYSA and Santa Rosa County to get their way. So I ask you to consider honoring our agreement that you guys approved, which, oh, by the way, as a board member at the NYSA, he voted to approve the usage agreement that they were just up here complaining about. So that's all I have, and I'll be happy to take questions. Thank you.
I just want to address I talked to Sam yesterday, our county auditor, who works for Mr. Spencer. His audit report is not finished yet, but he is wrapping it up, and he told me I was free to share that it is probably one of the best sports audits he's seen as far as transparency, accountability, fees charged, expenditures, and things like that. He gave me permission to at least give that. He says you could look forward to a very positive audit report on NYSA, which was asked for recently after I took office, just to make sure we were all on a level playing field. So that's part of if there's any questions on the money part, that's from our auditor at the county.
Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Peach, can I call NYSA back up, please? What is your cost per child to play?
In baseball,
Yeah,
105 to 105.
I think it's around 135 from what I
let's
saw.
talk travel ball, since that seems to be where we're at with this.
So travel ball, we just reestablished a program. We haven't come up with our fees yet for travel.
Okay. What would be the next closest thing to that? Just give me a figure that.
So for our Rec Select program, which is our Ravens travel program, it's 135? 135.
35, okay. And I'd like to comment about not just travel ball, because these parks weren't built for people to establish travel ball teams, and they were established for people to enjoy and recreate. And if it evolves to that, I'm fine with it, but that's, to me, not the primarily what these parks are developed.
And I think, to your comment, I think that's what gets lost in all this is I'm here for the kids. I have a 13-year-old and I'm planning on continuing to stay at the park even when he goes on to the high school. I think that any kid, no matter what their ability is, deserves a chance to come out and play.
Thank you.
And South Santa Rosa County, as you all know, we're land challenged, and so that's the issue we're up against.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Come on up.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm Steve Adams, 3100 Coyote Sierra. I'd like to address some of the comments and just provide you some more background. No one had any issue with this field until we started playing on it, and then it's a big deal. No one's touched this field for 13 years. And I understand that, I understand your comments, recreation ball, that's all a big part of the community. NYSA has done a great job with that. Until yesterday, they didn't have a travel baseball program, something that was asked for by a lot of our parents or a lot of our kids in Navarre. And we have kids that come from Pace. We have a couple kids on our team from Pace. We have a couple kids on our team from Milton and Baker, to be frank. So we were just trying to provide a little bit of a extra, time and effort to put in these kids because they had a lot of talent, and that talent was just kind of being, just kind of hidden in the recreational program, which is important for the community. I don't discount that at all. Mr. Villanova said that we had voted on this in the board meeting, and let me address my position on the board. I feel it's an important position. I was voted on by the membership of the NYSA to be a member of that board because I had a strong commitment to the children. I've already been coaching their kids in multiple sports, talking with the parents and how I felt about the programs, the kind of a lack of accountability that we have within the NYSA on some of the funding, and some of the actions by some of the other members within the NYSA. That I'm here to fight for the people of NYSA and the community of Navarre. I question the fact that there's a large amount of money in the account. When you see pictures like this of not only the Holly ball field, but the Navarre sports complex, I'm curious, as a citizen, as a board member, just where's that money going, It seems to be a little extravagant to me as a nonprofit organization to have that. So I question those things. We didn't vote on this plan, Mr. Peach, in the board meetings. That's a false statement. Surely you can pull the minutes from the meetings, but we've not officially voted on this. As a matter of fact, the executive board, you can look at the executive meeting minutes from that, was incorrectly run as per the bylaws. And that's one of my beef with the board, is that we don't run a lot of our meetings by the bylaws set forth by our own association. And I've tried many times to talk to some of the folks about that, and they just disregard them. And some of those violations are, frankly, against Florida statute. I'm trying to protect the organization against something like that, but they don't want to hear that, which for whatever reason I don't know. And as far as our insurance goes, we have insurance for the Emerald Coast Hurricanes, and we've given that to Mr. Hawley via email, and I can provide the email back to you guys with that. It was last year. You guys have our packet. We had a large plan for that ball field because no one else wanted to do the maintenance on it, so we said we would do it. You know, you have an organization that is willing to put the effort and the money and time into it at no cost to the county. We'd like to go in there and provide irrigation for that facility at no cost to you or the citizens of the county. We'd like to refurbish the entire outfield with brand new sod. We'd like to bring in turfus, which is a high-quality surface for the infield. You probably see it out at the Blue Wahoos Park. They use the same thing. We'd like to bring that in as well, and that's all in the packet we've given you guys at no cost to the county. Now, if the NYSA wants to work with us on that, we're more than willing to do so. We've asked to do that back in June 5th, 2019, and then it took 35 to 40 days for them to get back to us. So we're just asking for your help. We just want to utilize the field that's not even, you drive past it many times a week, I'm sure, and look over there every once in a while. There's nobody there. You know, now that we have a couple of kids over there, you know, getting a little bit better at baseball, somebody has an issue with it. So as a citizen of the county, you know, I pay taxes on that. I have a little bit of issue with that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Steve, while you're up here, what's your cost per child to play ball?
So the costs are $80 a month per child, and that pays for the two tournament fees.
80
two
a
tournaments.
month? Is there any initial fee or anything to join?
There is a $125 for initial fee, and that pays the share of insurance and uniforms.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Just one other comment, sir. We don't, our players that play travel ball, we don't say they can't play recreational ball. You know, they're allowed to play with any baseball they want to. But previously, the NYSA has said you can't play travel ball if you play recreational ball, which we thought, I brought that up in board meetings. I said that was wrong, and, you know, just kind of got that.
Well, I agree. It should be a free will of the person and that wants to play, but my concern is not take up all this space with travel ball and children that aren't to that, don't inspire to play ball all the time or don't want to, you know, just want to have fun playing ball, don't get excluded from the opportunity to play.
I absolutely agree with you, sir. In the original meeting that we had with Mr. Peach on the 14th of February 2020, which is in your packet, Mr. Peach informed us of a deal that he had brokered with our organization in the NYSA, saying that we would be able to take management of the field, provide at no cost to the county, all the stuff I've just said. And then we also said, we told Mr. Villanova, you can use the field whenever you want. We're not taking that, by doing the improvements, we're not taking the field away from anybody. The field is public. You should be able to go out there and use it whenever you want, to include the association. If they want to use it, go use it. It's simple. That's simple to me. I don't understand the, you know.
Question for staff or Commissioner Peach. We were used the comparison numbers of other costs of, you know, per hour. Were these outlying, I'm going to use outlying fields for, were these sports association fields on their main area, or does any, I can't think of any other sports association that has outlying fields.
Yeah, they have, well, Navarre's broken up soccer fields and then, you know, the main baseball complex and then this Holly field.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
there's-
it's kind of like, you know, Navy base, we got a bunch of outlying fields.
Yep.
Do any of our other associations have a situation like this where you have your main complex, but you, not for other venues, but for baseball or softball have?
I don't think so, not for, I mean, Para has the football complex down towards the south end of Woodbine Road and then the Santa Rosa Sportsplex, but there aren't any just one-off this field over in this place that any of the other sports associations manage that I'm aware of.
Commissioner Peach, you see there being any common ground here that you can work with these folks with, since, you know, you kind of got this one-odd situation?
Yep. No, I think there is. That deal that Mr. Adams mentioned was initial, but that was Mr. Villanova's deal. He hadn't taken it to his board. He took it to his board, came back, said, no, they want to hold on to the Holly Field and keep it under the agreement. Just a few points. You know, the agreement we signed with our sports associations, they're all on the same page now, Tammy. They require insurance, they require background checks and things. So in my mind, the organization that signed this has the right to require that from another private organization to utilize that, because we're going to hold NYSA accountable to this agreement. and whoever, it don't matter who uses the field. If it's a private organization, they let them. We're going after NYSA, not that other organization. So the agreement is a logical step, in my opinion. I'm not a lawyer, but I would want something like that if I was in charge of a facility. The agreement says they'll make the field available. In the past, it may not have been available on the website, but I've got assurances from Mr. Villanova that they are going to publish the schedule on the website like they said they were. We're going to look at our end. The field has been touched in 13 years, and I don't want to bring Tammy up to give us a detailed list, maybe not to the level of some other fields, but that's in the past. We're going to get this field where it needs to be commensurate with the other fields in the county. It's about the kids to me, and NYSA is running this. They have a clear audit report. We have an agreement with them. I would hope we could look past differences or personalities or whatever drives it and focus on living to the agreement, making the fields available as we require with the county. If NYSA knows this, if they don't live to this agreement, they know I'm watching, and Tammy's watching these sports organizations for us. So I think there's common ground here that can be worked out with the availability of the fields, living with the current agreement. My promise is to take Tammy and Doyle down there to get that field where it needs to be from the county's side, and NYSA has assured me they're going to do their part with bringing that field and maintenance up on their side. So that's kind of where I'm at right now,
Thank you.
and I'm open to other input.
The only other suggestion I might make is if this organization says they want to put all this money into the field, that NYSA maybe gives some credit towards that, but that's,
I mean, that would be between NYSA and that group.
That's just an open suggestion and would make me feel better about.
Yep. No, it's a great idea. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Salter.
I have confidence that Commissioner Peace will do the right thing, and it's in his district, so I'll follow his lead.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Chris Bailey. This is my son Ethan and Owen, 1982 Hawthorne Drive in Navarre. I'm really, as far as the internal dynamics, I'll leave that to the big boys in charge. I'm just here to talk about the field in general, the Holly field in general. Both my sons have played for NYSA rec ball. I've got no issues with that. He plays, before COVID went out, he played, no problems at all. My son has played on the select travel team with NYSA, no issues. This year, he wanted to play with Emerald Coast Hurricanes. I said, absolutely, let's do it. If you're ready to do that, we'll get you try out. And he tried out, worked real hard, made the team. Field practices on Holly Field, pull up to Holly Field. It's a dump. It's completely unacceptable the way it looks. Whoever's in charge of it, it's unacceptable. And I hope and I hear the right things coming out of you. I hear the right things coming out of you. But at the end of the day, action is what action is what we need. And sitting on this for an extended period of time affects these children, affects the parents. Parents get upset. We all get upset. We all want to help make a better community ball field. And it's sitting there ready for us to do that. So I'm willing, all the parents here are willing to work a deal, volunteer, put our time in, and just get over the hump, I think, is what we need to do. Just get over the hump, squash any kind of problems that's happening internally. Like that's these two are my main concern, right? And he'll be playing NYSA ball as soon as we open up. He'll be playing wherever he wants to go, whether it be with the Hurricanes or Hurricanes and NYSA, depending on what the rules are. But my boys just want to play ball. That's it. And that's all I really have to say. Do you boys have anything to say?
No.
Okay. Well, let's go sit down. I appreciate your time, really.
Yeah,
I do.
Mr.
Thank you for coming up.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Bailey, thanks. That's what it's about, is these kids. The meeting was the end of February. Obviously, a lot of things stopped in the county with this coronavirus. But now that we're coming out of it, you have my promise. I've already talked with Tammy. We're going to get that field up to condition commensurate with all the other fields in Santa Rosa County, because it is about those two and all their friends.
Well, I appreciate that, and I look forward to seeing those changes, and thank you for letting us come up.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, real quick.
We go Commissioner Parker.
Real quick, Chris, before you leave. Owen, how old are you? And Ethan, how old are you?
I'm 10.
10? And I want to point out, I was going to reserve any comments until everybody was through, but I think this is perfect. So my little Tyler will be 7 in about 3 weeks, and my Ethan is 9. And it sounds like you two are sort of a representative of my family. I've got one that is God-gifted, talented. We're going to be, I just got invited yesterday to go play in a tournament this weekend. And I've got another boy that, I'll be frank, he would rather be at the library than, or at the kiln, the pottery in Holly than there. I think this is perfect representative that children are different. And I want Ethan, Chris's Ethan, to have the same opportunities to harness that God-given talent he has, obviously, to be good enough to play ball, as I want Owen to be able to have fun. And I think the good example is the last 3 years we have led the charge of providing financial resources to the sheriff's office, probably like no other department. And we needed to, but that doesn't mean that the fire department isn't important. Obviously, now you see wildfires, and it's such a struggle as a county commissioner over the few years, and you two boys represent this as a perfect example. We have some people that don't use the libraries, but we have some people that do, and to them it's very important. And we have some people that use the baseball fields, and some people that don't, but just because they don't, it's important. And just like things like the splash pad, and I'll say, because I'm really in the same boat you are, and so I can relate to this, I get to hear about this travel baseball. I get to hear about travel soccer. I don't think we have travel football that I know of. I think we struggle sometimes actually to put together enough teams and pace, but there is an issue across the county of folks. I hear it a lot with soccer, probably more. You get kids that are gifted, and I think we owe the gifted children as much as the ones that are average. Most people are average, and that's why it's called average. But we owe the gifted kids enough to harness that too. So I don't want to throw away and say, well, we don't want to give that. And I believe y'all's heart is in it. I've never met any of you folks today personally that I know of, and I don't have this. I'm glad you came, because I'll tell you, at Para, I've had folks come and have issues with softball, and there be a falling out. And like you said, a lot of times it's personality things between the adults and the kids, unfortunately, or the other sufferer, and they have nothing to do with it. And so my biggest goal, I would hope, and I always tell those folks at Para, hey, look, the county, you don't want us. I don't think you want the government running youth athletics. And so I kind of see my role and Commissioner Salter's role when we partner on our Pay Sports Complex is we facilitate, we provide dirt, we provide mowers, we provide things, and then they run it. And I always tell them, hey, do your best to work it out. And 9 times out of 10, they're able to. And so I would just say, this is not my district. I would absolutely follow Commissioner Peach's lead. But I will say this. It sounds today, I haven't really heard anybody say that there's objectionable that the Holly ballpark needs some work. Well, if it wasn't being used, then I can understand that. But if we have kids that want to use it, even if it is that small minority, travel teams are such a small percentage of kids, but we owe them the same right as we do the large percentage. It's just that the two of y'all would work together. Thank God for rec ball. Okay, I've got my oldest boy, that's a rec ball kid, okay? Plays rec soccer, he'll always be rec ball, My youngest boy, again, gifted, he'll be able to play travel ball if he chooses to do so. But I would just ask y'all to work together. I would be willing to partner as far as asking Tammy and the resources. I think Commissioner Peach coined the term since I've been on the board. It's not patented, but he uses it more than anybody with expectation management. I would love us to see a deadline. Hey, 30 days. Let's get this park up to shape. And if they can't work together as far as adults, because honestly, that boy, Ethan, and it's coincidental. My 9-year-old's name's Ethan. If we can't provide him a place as a community, I don't care who's managing it. But if we can't do that in 30 days, and with this board, on behalf of Ethan that I represent and parents like his, if we've got to snatch a management agreements away or alter them or whatever, I'd be willing to make that vote, because at the end of the day, I know as adults, look, there's people out here that support me and there's people that don't. And that's just the way it is. You know, we're not always going to agree, but if we can't put that aside, and if y'all have tried best practices up till now, I'm going to ask you to try 30 more days or whatever deadline this board's good with. I think if in 30 days we can't have something rock solid and make some serious improvements to it, then I would be willing to step in and say, hey, there needs to be board action. But in para, they've had personality conflicts in the past, but I will say 9 out of 10 times they're able to work it through, and I will pledge to be right there and provide support. I'm supportive of Dan's concept of really our county is collective. You know, if we ever go to the point where we have collective recreation funds for major projects, look, if it took money out of District 1 so that kids could play in District 4, you know, I'll be right there lockstep, to be honest with you, because I want that kid to have the same opportunity as that kid. And that's really my biggest thing is let's put the differences aside. I will support Commissioner Peach as drastic or non as drastic as that requires, because I can relate to you and I get to hear this. I'm going to be at the ballpark tonight. We struggle with the same things up there, so I'm just going to ask you gentlemen and ladies involved to please do this, but I would like us to put a deadline on it today, Commissioner Peach, just so that everybody has that expectation management.
Okay. I don't want to commit Tammy and the resources, because I know we use a lot of the inmates and stuff like that, so far be it for me to obligate the staff to get something fixed without knowing all their priority work. So, I mean, we could have an action, you know, we'll get out there this week or early next week with Doyle and Tammy as far as the resources, you know, grading the infield. I don't know that we're going to resod the whole field, you know, in 30 days, but we can do some work. So, Tammy, what are you comfortable with?
And Commissioner Peach, just as we wait for Tammy, a big part of that caveat, I think just as much as the field, because we heard parents today say that they're willing to step up and help.
Yep.
I know in PACE we depend on volunteers. We couldn't do it. Tammy, we as a county couldn't do it without volunteers. But I think we also need to make sure that it sounds like the scheduling may be the biggest issue here. But just that we can encompass maybe and come back in 30 days, even if it's Commissioner Peach or the president. And guys, look, I don't know y'all, and I think you just know that when I see these two young boys, man, it touches my heart. And just please, if we could get all this worked out, we'll help with the resources, but I'm talking about with this scheduling and conflict, and let's be able to come back and say, hey, here's something reasonable.
I mean, if these organizations could muster some volunteers, Tammy?
So typically the way we do the ball fields is the county doesn't prep the fields. We mow the grass. That is upon the organization. We provide the resources. We will assist them in any way that we can, but it's not our responsibility to make a field, you know, each sports association chooses their own quality that they want to play on. We can get out there, we can work with them, we can talk to them, we can help them. You're not going to get sod laid and it take a hold in 30 days.
Right.
You put the sod down and you play on it, you're going to tear your sod up. I would recommend when you get to that part, we're going to get a sprigger, and I recommend that after the season, we get a couple months getting in there with our new sprigger and resources of the sod that we would put down and put the sod in the outfields. But we can work with either organization. You know, we don't have a preference. Okay. You know, we'll work with whoever, both of them at the same time, and help guide them or what resources we have.
Okay. Paul, do you think we could have something in 30 days?
In terms of getting the field
Getting
played?
some, yeah.
So yes, I think we can, but let me address that too. I don't think the field is ever going to be Blue Wahoo Stadium. I mean, I talk about management of expectations. Mr. Adams is referring to putting complete irrigation in the outfield and putting turfus infield. I don't think he can point to what we have in our bank accounts all day long. I don't think that is the goal of the organization is to do that. And by the way, I think if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, I think part of the outfield is actually owned by Eglin Air Force Base. Correct. So I don't know that we can have permission to go in and put irrigation and sprinkler systems. The bottom line is we'll do whatever it takes. And it's a false statement to say that it hasn't been touched in 13 years. We used to have a travel program in Navarre that kept the field in pretty good shape. The last couple of years, we haven't had one, and did we pay a lot of attention to that field? We didn't. But we have a lot of rec teams, a lot of, we have a rec select travel program, as I mentioned before. We're fighting for space, and I agree with you. I could have brought my 13-year-old son here today, and you would have felt the same way, because he's dying to play baseball as well. And he's right now playing travel baseball in Pace, because, for other reasons. So bottom line is, we'll do whatever it takes to get that field in playable shape, and maybe after the season, re-look at it to get it in much better shape. And one comment that Mr. Adams made that I just want to point out, because it pointed to my integrity of telling the truth. He did, in fact, vote on the agreement. He'll remember that he asked me to change one word from shall to may in order for him to approve the agreement that we submitted. So he did, and it just makes me feel better to say that. So with that said, yes, we can get it done in 30 days to where it's playable, and then after the season, spend more time and more resources to improve it even more.
And the scheduling, again, I don't have false hope. I mean, I see the work these guys put in at Pace. I'm not asking y'all to get to that overnight, but it just sounded like the schedule. Guys, just work it out. Listen, I want to start off too by saying thank you. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you and you and every guy that goes out there, and whether it's volunteer, if it's just driving your own kid, or spreading the dirt on the spreader, or working the concession stand, or coaching, because I'll tell you, I'm not a coach, and those guys, that's a calling. Thank God for you guys. I'm just asking, please work it out for these kids so that we don't need to get involved. And that was why the response I said was, hey, come today if you need to. I copied even Commissioner Peach on the email and said, hey, look, refer to him. I'm here to support him, and I will do that in whatever thing, but just please, guys, work it out, because it seems that it's really kind of become a fester point.
And we have put the scheduling out there, and we can do a better job of that. I'll admit that. We're all under a tough time right now trying to figure out how many teams are coming back, and we are going to launch travel baseball again. So my baseball commissioner's here with me, and I asked him to put the schedule out. We will, if it's available. The main complex at the NYSA, those fields are, they're pretty much going to be in use most of the time during baseball season. The Holly Field, some of our rec select travel teams have used it in the past, but it is available. And I think the point here is we'll make it available to any organization, but we believe that there needs to be a rental fee. Whether we came up with $20 based on what Para and some other places use for maintenance and for lighting, and if they ever use it at night, and insurance. We think that's reasonable. So we'll allow people to use it if it's available. They're questioning the agreement. The agreement got approved. We'll make the changes and improvements to the field, and I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and by the way, I did the calculation over there just to make sure. So $80 a month, 12 months a year, that's $960 a year plus $125 initiation fee. That's $1,100 to play travel baseball for what it's worth. And so we charge $105 for rec and $135 for rec select, and we haven't determined our travel costs yet, but it won't be $1,100. So thank you.
I just want to address a couple things that haven't been addressed real quick. We don't play for 12 months, so it's $80 a month for 3 months. Our season is 3 months, spring, 3 months, fall. So anyways, the agreement that they signed with the county specifically states, and I'm up here for one reason, is for the price. I'm fine with the contract the way it is, and we don't care. We know we'll never touch foot on the other fields, the NYSA, the good fields, the nice fields. We're not interested in using them. We'll never be allowed to use them, so we're not going to fight that fight. We just need one field, and our field is going to be the Holly ball field. It specifically says in the contract they're allowed to charge for lights, maintenance fee, cost, and something else, real brief. Operating expenses, including but not limited to insurance costs, which we provided them via email months ago, and utilities, equipment rental, which we don't rent any equipment, and overall maintenance expenses. We're fine with this contract that they just put up the other day. We're fine with that. What we're not fine with is they're asking us to pay a para price, but we're in a dump. All we're asking for the time being, until this field is up in par with the NYSA fields, or the para fields, or the Tiger Point fields, is to reduce the cost to rent the field, that field specifically. Pay, charge everybody the $20 if they use para or any of the nice fields, but this field here, you can't ask one specific team that's only allowed to use this field. We've established that the schedule that they provided on their website does not allow anybody to use their fields at the complex. And we're fine with that. What we're saying is we're happy with this field the way it is. We'll take it for practice. But to ask these parents and on our teams to pay $20 an hour when they all know by now, I can guarantee you they all know, that $20 is the going rate for Gulf Breeze, for Tiger Point, for Para, those beautiful complexes. So all we're asking is maybe come down on the price, the hourly rate. That's all we're asking, until that field, all that work has been done that has been talked about earlier. If we can come to some agreement, $5 an hour, $10 at the most, whatever it is, if we can come to that.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to get into dictating prices with NYSA. I would think NYSA if they want to negotiate, but if we're going to get into that from this dais of dictating fees, I don't think we want to go there. I think the groups need to work it out, as Commissioner Parker said, and if the volunteers are going to come out, maybe there's some in-kind there. Hey, we're going to bring 20 volunteers out to help with the field. Okay, that's called negotiation. I'm not going to sit here and dictate what fee on what date and who's judge of what the field looks like. We're going to get it to the conditions commensurate with the other fields in this county. But I really don't think we need this board to sit here and pick $20, make it 10 for the first 2 weeks. I would hope the two organizations could come to the table and come to a gentlemanly agreement to make this work for the kids. It's about the kids.
So, James is probably going to hit me for this, but I'll come up with the agreement right now.
We need to speak into the mic, and let's try to bring this in for a
If we
landing.
decide on a deadline of when we're going to finish it by, I'll let them play for free and use the field for free. But then it goes to $20 an hour when we all decide that the field's in good enough shape.
Thank you, Mr. Villanova.
Good? Perfect. There you go.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
But with one caveat, that they let us know when they're going to use it.
Understood.
Morning, gentlemen. My name's Sean Hendershot. This is my son Landry Hendershot, 2769 Sumac Court in Navarre. Come to you today. I don't do politics. I'm pretty blunt, black and white. Heard some fluff today. I don't agree with some of the things I've heard, not necessarily from anybody specific, but I want to give a little rundown. I've been with NYSA for 8 years. Started off with T-ball with my son here. He's now in 11U, 12U at NYSA. We chose to go to travel ball this year because NYSA didn't provide it. They said, we don't like it, and if you want to play it, you can't play rec ball here. Go play somewhere else. Where do you think people in Navarre go when they want to play travel ball? They've gone to Fort Walton Beach, Pace, Gulf Breeze. That's where they go. So people have stood up to help provide a travel program for Navarre, to keep people local. We talk about volunteers, the ability to do something in 30 days. If NYSAs can provide volunteers, they were approached several years ago from the Tourist Development Council. Let's bring tourism sports to Navarre. They said, no, we don't have the volunteers. I was at that meeting. We don't have the volunteers. And I stood up and I said, I would help. I was a big volunteer for that organization. Starting off in T-ball, Navarre NYSA doesn't do anything for their kids. It's all fluff. Gospel Projects hosts a tournament every year for T-ball. Navarre hasn't won once in decades that they've participated. But PACE and NEP, a lot of them programs, they come in there, they look professional. They look like they've played for months together, if not years. Navarre, they get 2 weeks at the end of the season to put a team together, go play. Their morale's busted by the end of that tournament because they don't win. It's for the kids. Do something for them and make some decisions for the kids. Hey, I move up to 8U.
I have now 2 kids playing, 8U and T-baller. I'm there for them, so I assistant coach. I don't head coach, I assistant coach. I'm a head coach for 8U. Come to find out, she's been making some bad decisions. She doesn't do things when I'm not around, so I have to step up. Things get done, I go and help T-ball, and I help teach. I appreciate NYSA bringing in someone every spring for the coaches to learn skills from. And I've done it for 13, 14, 15 years, and I learned a lot. And I can tell you, one kid that had a really bad batting problem, I fixed it. He had a bat every time. But by the end of that season, NYSA allowed a parent to write a lengthy email against me that was on an opposing team. The baseball commissioner's response, "You're done coaching. You're not to come back." So I appealed it. I had a petition created by somebody that had 33 signatures, 18 comments, multiple sports. I've coached soccer, football, and baseball. Not one voice was heard. I went in there, I defended myself. I was very defensive, as Paul Villanova told me. "You're very defensive, so I voted against you." I was defensive because not one thing on that email was true. That parent, to my mother, called me foul language. I had it on a GoPro video. I recorded everything. I defended everything I did. I had proof, but it wasn't good enough for the commissioner at the time. So for years, we've asked for a travel program to grow our kids, to give them a chance to grow, to be competitive and not be just rec players. I get it. There's a percentage, small percentage that goes to travel. And they offer a select program. But that small percentage want a little bit more. NYSA said no. If you want to play, you can't play here. They made it very clear. Sometimes even board members had their kids playing in other facilities while playing at NYSA. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I never have. I support the idea of a travel program. And you're right, for years this field's gone neglected at Holly Ball Field. And it's possible somebody did come in there with a travel program under the old CBP agreement in NYSA. But nobody would maintain the field. I'm sure you all know who Bert Pullum is. I heard he got involved, and all of a sudden the field got turned around. Why does somebody like that have to get involved for the kids? The agreement between the county and NYSA says a number of things. Says NYSA may charge a proportional share being our fair share of the expenses of that field. We don't use electricity or anything else. And it says we may charge. It doesn't say they have to charge. If it's for the kids, you don't have to charge. We don't do damage to that field. Every time we go, we've lined the field, we've dragged the field. Except today, the bases there are all torn up, as you can see in the picture. Honestly, that picture's from yesterday. That's the base from yesterday. That's the outfield from yesterday. There's no grass. And what weeds are there? They're practically a foot apart for every little weed that's growing. So I get that you guys are going to now commit to bringing that field up. But decades of NYSA pushing good coaches away and good players away with them. Now's the time to start a travel program in NYSA that just got posted on their website this week. Just this week. And yes, they defined a schedule that makes it to where nobody else can use the fields but them. There's a chance that it might rain on Tuesday or somebody got sick, so Ravens are going to now practice on Wednesday. Doesn't say there's defined reasons. It's whatever reason they so choose. There's been multiple agreement offers for park agreements over the past year. Representative of NYSA said, just pay your share of electricity. Actually, that sounds very fair today. Then they said $25 for a day. Now it's $20 an hour. It's constantly changing. I get it that you guys aren't going to set the budget, but it says that they may, and they don't have to charge. There's so many things in this agreement I question. There's pictures you guys should have on your desk. Concession stand. Your agreement with NYSA says first-class quality concessions. says that the quality of products is going to be first class. Hot dogs, hamburgers, and French fries. You go to Para, you've got loaded French fries, you've got gyros, chicken on a stick. That's what I'd call first class in the ballpark game. And they're right. $20 might be what all the other ballparks are charging. But Holly is not the quality of the ballparks that everybody else has in accounting. So, I mean, for years, 8 years, I've been with them. I've got comments from people that I've coached, and I'm sorry I don't have enough to share with you guys. I could read them, but I don't want to waste your time. Not one person on my team, not one parent or kid on my team was ever approached regarding the allegations. But NYSA said, you're gone. And I even appealed it. And they all voted against me. Behind my back, I've heard from many of the parents that James Hawley has made it clear it's a shame what happened to Sean. I don't agree with it. Yet he was very adamant and clear to vote against me. This is the type of people that run the organization. I'm 100% for the kids. NYSA is right next to the high school. They don't do anything to feed the high school with quality kids. So that travel program mentioned from several years ago, high school coaches were paid to go support the travel program, and they supported it knowing that they were fostering the kids that were going to come to the high school. But yet, once a year, there's a football clinic, and once a year, there's a baseball clinic. That's all I can really speak to, because that's all the sports we've really played, soccer. There's no relationship with the high school like there should be. The NYSA doesn't care about the community. We don't care about sports tourism. I'm sure you guys would. Money comes back to the Milton as well. But they didn't care. They've got a great set of ball fields that they could offer up with a little bit of work. And the Tourism Development Council said, we're going to throw money into you. How many volunteers and how much money do you need? Nope, not interested. What's happened in the last 5 days with NYSA doesn't speak for who they are and the organization that they represent. This has been an ongoing problem. So I'm just asking that you guys consider nullifying that agreement, at least for the Holly Ball Field. Let Emerald Coast take it over. Let someone take it over. Or at least put out a request for a proposal for someone else to have an opportunity to take over the NYSA maintained ball fields. I haven't seen that. Not sure that, speculation, I'm not sure legitimately NYSA has a right to manage it without other opportunities for other organizations. I'm here speaking because my sons, we're now in travel. The ball game that these guys play, I'm probably blacklisted at this point for what I've said. Now that they're offering a travel program, if Emerald Coast Hurricanes is pushed away, he probably won't make the team. That's how they play ball down there. It's not fair. It's about the kids, not the good old boys. I'm asking you guys to stand up and just, read this agreement. And I know you guys have read it and agreed to it and stuff, but offer some accountability for NYSA. Public records request. If someone says everything, you guys have an audit now. That public record request didn't have everything that you probably got in the audit. There's guidance in this documentation that says how to deal with an entity that doesn't respond properly to a public records request. I'd like some accountability. There were emails that were received from 2017 for that records request. None of those are emails I have here from the baseball commissioner. Just saying, everything should be included. So if you got money, spend it. Stop hoarding it. If you got $400,000 to $600,000, they've had it for years. You guys have pictures. Here's a sign that says this field's maintained by the Board of County Commissioners. But the bottom of the sign, you can't see that because it's all torn up. That's a representation of the park in the county. Just ask you guys to provide an experience and take care of the kids. Sorry for not having much of a filter, but if you have any questions for my son, I'm sure he'd be happy to.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Cole?
I'm finding all this kind of confusing because I remember a previous commissioner put a lot of stake in the Holly Field, and I think you remember that too. I mean, that was one of his banner charges that he took a hold of right at first. Of course, that's probably why he isn't commissioner anymore too. This guy says, well, I've been with him long enough, his board's been with Commissioner Peach long enough that if he says something, it's gonna get done. This is the first I've heard about it. I would assume it's the first my fellow commissioners have heard about it, other than Commissioner Peach, because it's representative of his district. So I agree with what I heard earlier. You guys, Parker put it in a good way. You guys work it out. You're all grown men. This is for the kids, and you got a commissioner right there that's willing to work with you. All that other accusations, fighting back and forth, that's not up to us. Up to us to make sure the property's there, it's maintained properly, that the kids are protected by having background checks done, those type of things. So, I've heard both sides. I've heard enough at this point to realize that Commissioner Peach is going to take care of this. And if he needs our support as a board to do so, he has my support. So, leave it at that.
Thanks for your time.
All right, we'll take one more. Come on up.
Yeah, I'm Kristen Homovich. I'm at 2702 Michelle Court in Crestview. I'm here to support the Holly Field being just updated. And I want to say thank you. That was well said for what you said. We're here for the children. My Jet, he is 10. And he's really good, and he's been kicked around through different teams. And he needs a place. And we drive 45 minutes to come to this ball field. And I feel like if we all come together and make a right decision for this, I believe we can work it out for the children. I believe with Mr. Cole, what he said earlier, if our team does want to put in hard work and money into this field, why not have a credit for this team? And we're doing this for not just our team, though. And I want that, to be clear that this is for whoever wants to come on the field. But I really believe that we all need to come together and make, a decision and not bickering and fighting. That's all I have
Thank
to
you.
say.
We'll look for an update next meeting. Something new to add? Come on up.
Yes, sir. Good morning. My name is Keith Whitfield. I'm here on behalf of Emerald Coast Sports Association. I have put in a RFP for the East Milton Park. I've sent everyone an email out yesterday. I appreciate you all taking the time to read it. Now, it sounds like everybody's here for the same reasons for the kids and all the kids of Santa Rosa County as I am. And like I said in my email yesterday, that I'm here to get that field back up to where it's supposed to be. And I've got a lot of volunteers behind me as well to bring East Milton Park up to where it needs to be. And I know everything but the country's gone down with the COVID-19 and it's put everything on the back burner. But I'm also willing to help any organization. I do live in Navarre. I'm a resident of Navarre, but I'm a resident of Santa Rosa County. So I look forward to helping anyone in Santa Rosa County. And that's what it's really all about at the end of the day. So I was just requesting, that we all maybe here in the next few weeks or so, that way my organization maybe possibly take over that field, hopefully take over that field so we can get it up to par as these sports are starting to come back open in the near future. Because as it comes closer and closer to each of these seasons, we're running out of time. And then I have to look, 50 some odd kids in the face and tell them that, you got to go somewhere else and play. And there's a lot of people that are looking for me to provide that area of play for them. And I've got 3 boys, and they did play at NYSA, and NYSA is a good program, but I'm offering something different. And that's what the people behind me wanted. They wanted something different. So it wasn't nothing against any other park or organization, is that we're providing something different. So if we could, talk about that, I greatly appreciate it.
You got my reply to your email yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And, with the COVID, with the fire last week in District 2, and I did get a good report back from Tammy that she liked liked the proposition that you put in to, take that over. I just haven't had time to wrap my arms around it yet.
Yes, sir.
And I've also got plans to be out of town for about the next 10 days, so, that's the best I can do right now. I can't crowd anything more into that schedule right now.
Yes, sir.
to
And
move it
one other
forward.
question. So with that being said, you're being out of town, and I understand that, everybody's got a busy schedule. And we got some things on the horizon. Is it able for us to even use that field at this time to even rent it out for some sports things that we got coming up?
Dan, how can we?
I'll
I don't
work with
see any-
Tammy. We have-
I mean, any park at all should be able, I don't want to see it standing idle.
Yes,
So
sir.
no, so if you got kids that want to play, I just need to have the county administrator or Tammy get with you and make sure, all the bases are covered, no pun intended. But, with insurance and.
I'll work with Mark and Tammy on a temporary, it's probably a rental hourly basis, or if we're doing something a little bit longer, in an interim term, we can come to some agreement prior to a full management agreement.
And I'm good as long as you cover expenses, garbage pickup, electricity, anything that the county taxpayers should not occur. Other than that, there, no other charges,
Yes,
just,
sir, that'd be no problem.
okay, just like if you use lights, you pay for them. If you have garbage needs hauled off, you haul it off and clean up. Other than that, I don't think there's much of a charge for water, so absolute minimal charge to you to get going, so, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you. Come on.
What I said was incorrect. I need to apologize.
Come on up.
So I went back through my notes, and Paul, I'm sorry. I apologize to you about that. I made an incorrect statement about the vote there. You were correct. So I did. Yes. For the agreement. Yes. Yes. So I do apologize for that. Just real quick, we're more than willing to work with you, Paul. We've asked to do that before, and I know we've got some, let's put all of our differences behind us, and let's move forward for the kids. That's what we're all for, man. So we'd love to do that. Get with you after the meeting if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up. Turn your mic on. Hit the speak button.
I'm James Hawley. I'm the VP at the park at NYSA. I'm also the baseball commissioner. We told Mr. Peach when we went out to the field that we would do all the necessary repairs. That's never been a problem. I've been kind of in limbo waiting, and it was due to COVID-19 that the repairs didn't get done. They were talking about bases. I have new base plates. I've got new bases. I was just waiting to install them until we got the all clear. So it's never been our intention not to make the field playable for any reason. Just like all you guys know, our program wouldn't run without volunteers. I spend a lot of time making our 6 fields within the main compound look good. I drive the tractor, I bush hog the fields. I now cut the grass when the county, if it rains and they can't come out. I do a lot. And I fully intend to make the Holly Field playable. And that's about all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate that. Anyone else? All right. It is 12:04 and we are adjourned.
Check, check.